In this video, I'm going to bring you through the exact process of how to actually build an 8-figure business. I know that it sounds a little bit general, but I'm actually going to break down how to find creators, how to structure your ad account, how to find product market fit, how to actually build to sell. So this video is going to be like very in depth. So make sure to take some time, probably 20-30 minutes. Get a notepad and take some notes because I'm about to touch certain points that are actually detrimental when it comes to building not just any e-commerce business. I'm talking about businesses that generate $1 million months, okay? Because it actually doesn't take too much effort to generate 6 figures, even like low 7 figures. You find something that pops, you find something that works, but making sure that you keep that consistency in revenue and cash flow, that's where, and grow, of course, at the same time, that's where it becomes a little bit more tricky. You need more systems, processes, and frameworks, okay? So I'm gonna go through these frameworks with you right now. And with no further ado, let's get right into it. Great, so let's get into it. So as I said, this is going to be a pretty in-depth video. As you can see, I'm going to talk about multiple different topics, specifically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? And so these are probably the 7 steps that are really, or at least the most important to actually build an 8-figure infrastructure that is consistent and that, most importantly, you can actually sell, right? Because at the end of the day, we're all building companies, and at least 80, I'd say 90% of the people I know, or 99% I would say, are building to sell eventually, right? Whether it's in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, eventually we build to sell. And so this infrastructure is also take that into consideration, okay? But before we get going, so what I'm going to do is actually bring you through these processes. As I bring you through these processes, I'm also going to switch screens to show you some actual practical examples of how to find creators or what tools to use, an ad account structure. I'm also going to show you how we structure our ads live in the ad account. So stick with me until the end because this video is going to be very dynamic. I'm going to move around. I'm going to talk about different topics. I'm going to go to the web browser and show you some apps and stuff like that. So make sure to stick until the end. Once again, this is going to be a very in-depth video, so make sure you have some time to watch the entire thing. Now, let's first of all give you some context. For those of you who don't know, just so you know, I'm qualified to speak about these things. We work with 7-figure clients, we work with 8-figure clients, we also work with 6-figure clients, and kind of like, if that's the case, it's kind of like a different world, right? So I can always see the difference between a 6-figure business, a 7-figure business, and businesses that generate $10 million plus online, like this one over here on the right, in 12 months. And so I've just been able to literally document my entire journey. And while I was documenting it, kind of really understand what is the actual difference of why businesses cannot scale past a certain amount. And so it all starts from actually step number 1, which is identifying product market fit. Okay, so let me actually zoom in over here so we can actually talk about this. There we go. So it all starts over here, finding product market fit that can scale. And I have, I've seen businesses that actually have shitty landing pages, decent creative, but because they focus so much, not really focus, but for whatever reason, either because they focused their research on it or because it was luck or whatever the reason may be, because they really nailed down their product market fit, meaning they decide to sell a product that a market actually wanted with an angle proposition that was really incentivizing and just allowed people to say, yes, I'm interested. That alone will win most of the times over better marketing or better landing pages, just because the product has a market fit. Okay, if you don't understand what product market fit after my explanation here, just let me know in the comments, because some people actually have a hard way or understanding of what it is. But okay, so this is an example. Okay, so there's multiple ways of finding product market fit, okay? And I'm not saying this is the only way, but I'll give you an example of what I would do if I were to go into a market, right? And there's the different billion or trillion dollar markets like beauty, right? And so instead of just going after something general, something that can allow you to find better product market fit is actually niching down and finding a market that can actually is interested on the thing that you're offering, right? So this is just an example. And by the way, you can interpret product market fit in different ways. You can find product market fit in multiple ways. This is just one way to just really make sure that you stand out and you serve and find a specific market that likes what you're offering, right? That's essentially how it works. And so this is just an example, like 3 examples that I actually spoke about in my channel before, but these are all real life examples. So this first example is skincare. So instead of going after beauty, right, this client actually niched down to skincare, and instead of just going after skincare, which is an extremely saturated industry, right? And by the way, I'm not saying that if you go in a saturated industry, you don't have a chance. I'm just saying it's going to be a hell of a lot more hard to scale initially, and as you want to grow, because as you grow, it gets more expensive. There's a lot of competition. So you need to find unique mechanisms and MVPs to make sure that your product actually stands out. And as you find and start with your niche market, which I'm going to explain in just a second, then you can start expanding into wider markets once you get the market share. So in this example, it's skincare. This client actually didn't only sell skincare, which is like a subdivision of beauty, which is less competitive, but she also went ahead and targeted specifically Black people that were interested or had a religious background. And so part of her like profits, I think like 5 or 10% of her profits, like a pretty big amount, actually went towards sustaining or supporting Catholic churches around the United States, or maybe around the globe. I think she partnered with some organization. So this was her kind of like her proposition. And so the concept here is like how many people or how many brands in the US, let's just say, are actually going to be able to support only Black people or mostly Black people, because the chemicals and the ingredients and all that stuff was primarily focused towards supporting Black people. I know they also had like 10-15% whatever of customers with other ethnic backgrounds, but the marketing specifically, that's what I mainly mean, was specifically geared towards Black people that had a religious background. And so that works super well. And as you can see, like what happens over here is that you find your own blue ocean in a red ocean where it's super saturated. Same thing with like apparel. This is just like these are actually real life examples. I'm not just making that up. But we also had a client that sold apparel for religious people. So they basically, it's kind of like a coincidence that it's both about religion. But here they basically sold like apparel with like religious verses and sayings and quotes and just verses from the Bible and stuff like that, or the Quran, and etc. And so that worked very well. Same concept. Apparel is super broad, and so they actually just focused on t-shirts and hoodies, and they were selling like specifically religious quotes and clothing, which went super viral. It worked super well, and there also wasn't a lot of competition. And so as they were growing, they decided to expand. They did hoodies, and then they did shoes, and then they did pants, and they started getting more market share. And that's eventually how you can scale aggressively to 8 figures. Now, can you also find a small market and still make 8 figures? Yes, if it actually allows you to get to that scale. This, for example, could easily be an 8-figure market. Like you can get a decent market share within this blue ocean and still get to 8 figures. So, hopefully you got this point. But before I move on, I wanted to speak about this specifically because this is really, really important when it comes to doing anything else after. If you crack the code here, all of the rest will be way, way more easy to manage and scale, right? I cannot stress this enough. Now, let's move on over here. And by the way, like, what do we do here? And this is also good to get some inspiration to kind of like find marketing angles. I'm going to talk about marketing angles, find inspiration for ads, find inspiration for like product offerings, which include also finding a product market fit. I like to use and study the entire competition and use tools like Archa. Okay, so stick with me here because I'm going to show you also other things. As you see, I have a bunch of tabs open here, but I like to use tools like Archa, which I always promote, and we're actually partners with them because I just use it every day for my agency. I know other people that use it a lot, and this is just great because it allows you to just literally funnel hack the entire competition, look at their ads, look at the types of products, and so of course it can help you develop a better product market fit because you get inspiration, but it also helps you with like marketing angles and finding new ways of promoting your product, which brings me to my next point over here. So how do companies actually scale to 8 figures? They, typically a 6 or 7 figure business will focus on one product, on one marketing angle, and I'll explain what that is in just a second. And they just focus on one way of selling the product. And typically, in some cases that actually works and it allows them to scale. And in most cases, if it allows them to scale, it's very limited, and eventually that marketing angle will die out. An example, which I always do, is let's just talk about another example because I always do it with my water bottle. But an example of a marketing angle with AirPods is that they're super small and convenient. And so instead of having like huge headphones, I can just put them in my pocket and the audio quality is basically the same. Another one is basically having tech advancements, right? So another marketing angle could be, upgrade to this one that has 5 more extra features. So it could be the tech side, right? Another could be where this is for sports, right? Instead of having the big one, you can just use them while you're running. That's another one. So these are basically, of course, they're kind of random, but these are like some examples of marketing angles. And so the 6-figure or a very, very low 7-figure business owner will just focus on one product, not necessarily one product, but just one marketing angle, and they will not scale their entire creative system to explore multiple marketing angles. And so typically that's the problem. And what we want to do here is obviously go broad. Broad is the new way here in 2020. It's been already in 2023, 2022 actually, but you know, a lot of people start introducing broad targeting kind of later. We've introduced it. This is probably like the third year in a row where we just start doing broad targeting mostly. And then of course you build all of these assets for ads are mainly focused on the marketing angle that you're promoting. Okay, and so this is the convenience angle. This is maybe the luxury angle. This is the angle for like people that go running, right? Basically what I just explained. And so all of these ads actually support this angle, and this is how they scale. They scale horizontally, right? And what ends up happening here is that eventually you're going to end up with a bunch of winning angles, a bunch of winning ads, and that's how you can really start replicating and scaling and duplicating what is actually working across your marketing angles and your creatives. You should see this as, this is a very, I think, a very smart diagram here, because it kind of shows you how much more secure this strategy is and how much more revenue it can generate for you, right? Let's just say that you and this is kind of like an 80-20 rule, and I'm going to talk about this in just a second, but you should see marketing angles like this as a distribution of your cash flow. I always talk about this, right? And so what we want to do here is essentially just to say that you go ahead and make 6 figures. It's like, you know, $50,000 a month business. You're doing okay. It's fine. Maybe you're just on, you know, you just explored marketing angle 1 or maybe just marketing angle 2. And that is actually just 5% of what you could actually be making, right? And so this is also a reason why you should explore other marketing angles, because maybe one is way more profitable than the other one. One other reason why you should do this is because it distributes your risk. If you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 marketing angles that are just really crushing it, your business is a lot more stable because you're not just relying on one, right? Relying on one, what happens if you're you know, this is 100% of your business, and then whoop, it goes down because of market competition, saturation, whatever reason. This is how the marketing game works, right? And so if we can distribute the entire cash flow of our business with different offers, sure, but also mostly with different marketing angles, ways of promoting your product, this is how you win and how you scale, okay? If you can sell the same product in 50 different ways, 100 different ways, you will win over the business that sells it in 1 or 2 different ways, right? You have to be very, very creative. Okay, this brings me to my next point over here. How do we actually get all of these creatives, like all of these, you know, pieces of content? Sure, you can run images, image ads work, but one strategy that we really use is actually scaling with creators. So having a full pipeline of creators, as you see the title on the top, is actually detrimental because to get to 8 figures. You cannot get to 8 figures if you don't have content, and you cannot have content if you don't have a predictable way of finding people that actually can shoot videos for you, okay? And if you're not doing videos, you can do images, but in most cases, images can only bring you so far, right? Videos also is a great way to scale. How do we find creators? I speak about this often, but let me show you some ways. Some ways are Facebook groups, UGC platforms like Billo, etc. You can actually leverage the platform. You don't have to go and pay the creators. You just maybe pay a subscription to get access to a wide network, and then you can find your ways of getting in the weeds and contacting these people. You can also buy a list. I don't really recommend this. I mean, if you want to join my community, I have like 500 UGC, vetted UGC people. You can just do that. But I mean, I don't really recommend it. I would just hire a VA, which is less expensive, and you will own your own data that you've actually vetted yourself, so you don't risk anything. Now, there's multiple ways of doing this. I like to go here on Twitter. I always go through this example. This is just one way, and I would have a VA go in here and write UGC beauty, and then you can go into people, right? And this is a good way to scale your UGC process. And so as you can see, there's dozens and dozens of people that actually give you your email. You don't, it's like super easy nowadays. They have their portfolio. You can look at their portfolio, as you can see here, my portfolio, and see if they're a fit to work with you based on how they look, how they present themselves on camera, how they speak, if they have curly hair, if they don't, right? And if I actually show you one of our databases, UGC, where is it? Let me just, whatever, base, there it is. This is just one of our lists. If you actually take a look at one of our lists, we essentially just target or have columns based on how they look, like age, gender, ethnicity, skin, hair type, body type, pets, if they have kids, and then we can basically create filters over here, right, which is very, very powerful. So I just wanted to show you that very quickly. Let's moving on over here. Once you have, so deal structure, once you find them, the deal structure is typically either a very hefty affiliate deal, which, you know, in some cases you can actually pay like a super small retainer, like $500 a month to a creator, and give them assuming they also maybe have a following and they want to be affiliates, they can basically shoot content for you. You can leverage that content for ads. and then they can just, if they get sales and if they have an audience, they get a like 20%, 25% cut, 15%. You can make a deal, and on top of that, they get maybe a small retainer like 500, 750, 1,000 a month, whatever it is, and they give you content like weekly. And so that's one type of deal. One other type of deal is also just with paying for the UGC video, like typically $100, $150. That's typically when you have less volume. And so if you only ask for 3 videos instead of 10, like a package deal, of course, they're going to give you a worse price. We've also tested sending products for free. The only disadvantage here is that they typically just want the free product and they're not super experienced. They don't have a portfolio. And so these, I don't really recommend to do this anymore. We just want to pay for it so that it makes more sense and we don't waste any time. Okay, so this should actually be the process if you want to outsource this, and this is what 8-figure companies do. This is what we do it because we have multiple clients, and of course I'm not gonna find the creators myself. I hired a team of virtual assistants and people that can support my clients on finding these people on autopilot. So $3 an hour VA if you want, from the Philippines or from like South America. They're great people. $5 an hour, whatever. They're super low rates and they're happy with it. And they can go into the Facebook groups and everything that I showed you. They can add people in the list. They can contact them. They can establish a collaboration over here. They can handle shipping the product. You just have to give them like a discount code that they can go in on Shopify, do a discount code for free, and then of course put the address of the creator so that the creator receives the product, and then the creator actually receives the product and they can start filming. One important thing, as I said before, is making sure that you have these columns as well so that you can keep track of how they look, how they feel, what's their experience, what's their skin type, body type, what are they mostly doing, are they specialized in healthcare mostly, do they have kids, etc. Okay, so hopefully this was valuable because this is going to be super important for the next step over here. Once 8-figure businesses essentially have a predictable way of finding creators, and trust me, like just like sales, if you don't have a pipeline of prospects, you don't generate sales, you don't generate revenue for your company. If you don't have a pipeline of creators, you cannot generate creatives, and you cannot generate sales at the same time because you need creatives for sales. And so, having a very thick pipeline of content creators is absolutely important. Okay, you just need it if you want to scale aggressively. And by the way, you don't need to spend millions of dollars on content agency. You can actually be very smart, and I'm going to show you a way that's very tricky, which I've spoken about a million times, but for the new viewers here, is just using a B-roll strategy. So typically, what creators typically do is that, what brands typically do is that they approach the creator and they tell them, do 3 videos, and they will tell you, okay, it's $300, $400, $500, plus we give you 3 hooks. Okay, so that's the deal. They will edit the video, film the scenes, do the entire stuff, and hand you on a silver platter the final video. That works if you want like specific videos that you maybe are already aware that are like proven to work. So it works. You know that this is a great creator. You know that the script works. You know the product is proven. Maybe that's the way to do it because it's like, boom, I just need that and I don't need to figure out anything else. And I know it's going to work, right? The other approach, which is more, it's both for scaling because it's cheap, but also for like beginners if you're getting started, is ask for B-rolls. It's the same exact price for 1 video. The only difference is that they film like 10 to 20 scenes that are 3 to 5 seconds long of them unboxing, trying the product, them going out, jogging, using the AirPods, just like scenes that you can then put together throughout a video editor, or you can do it yourself if you don't have the resources to hire a video editor. And you can put these storylines together and essentially have a mega B-roll video folder. You create multiple B-roll variations by mixing and matching videos, and then you can scale with AI scripts, with AI voiceovers. You can also hire AI voiceover actors if you don't want to do the AI scripts. The AI scripts are just fast. You can just go on 11 Labs, just go in there, type your script, and then you can choose the voice. American accent, UK accent. That's actually pretty cool. Okay, and then what ends up happening is that you essentially have hundreds of video just from like 5 UGC collaboration, which probably costed you $500, $600, $700 only, and you get 5 people, and you just you can be really creative and create multiple storylines and scale that way. So this is actually how at least the clients that we work with that are doing 8 figures are actually scaling quite aggressively. Just one way, of course, but it's also way cheaper, right? Because it saves you. Cool. How do we scale an ad account? So let me actually bring you through this, the infrastructure first, and then I'll show you in the ad account itself. Okay, so you see it. So is this the only way to actually scale an account? No. Okay. Actually, for new accounts, I don't really even recommend this structure because this is more for scaling. What I recommend for new accounts, if you're like starting out, is I would just do like, you could do CBO if you want, but I also prefer ABO because you are more in control of what you are you're more in control of the ad sets that you're going after and pushing on Facebook. So I can maybe do like 10 ad sets, just, you know, $10-15 a day for like 5 to 7 days. Let it spend. Don't focus about profitability. You just need to understand what Facebook is, the data that Facebook is giving you back. Once you have that data and you know what spent the most and what the most profitably, what had the best higher CTRs, what had the best click-through rates, right? What the lowest cost per clicks, the lowest CPMs, all of this data you then gather, and then you use and you create CBO campaigns like this one, which I'm going to explain how it works, to start scaling your ad account. Okay. The one thing I advise though is not to go from one strategy to another. So you do ACS, and then you do the ABO strategy, and then you do the CBO strategy, and then you try something else, and then you try another, because this will completely fuck the ad account. Meaning, the ad account is kind of like, it gets used to what you're feeding it. So, and this is, I've noticed, like I've actually done this error several times, right? Stick to one strategy for a month, and then next month, because of whatever reason, we want to switch completely the ad account structure. It could work out, but in some cases it just flops because the ad account is getting used to a specific structure, and it likes that structure. And of course, there isn't one way to do it. There's many ways to scale an ad account. And it comes from experience. I've literally seen 100+ companies, their ad accounts, how they scale. And I've seen many different structures that work. And so this is the one that I would recommend if you want to scale. So 3 videos or images, 2 headlines, and 2 ad copies. So let me explain how this works. So it all starts with 1 campaign, which is per product. So you have 1 product, 1 campaign. You have a second product, you create another CBO campaign. Budget is at least $100, $150 a day. I would say that's the minimum. The goal here is to find ad sets and campaigns that can actually scale. So it doesn't make sense to do like $10, $20 a day. It really, really doesn't make any sense. Okay. And so we scale with marketing angles. And so how does this work? Instead of just scaling with like, you know, interests, we leave everything broad. And I'm going to show you in the ad account in just a second. But we scale basically with like 1 ad set is 1 marketing angle. So this is like turkey neck. So this is like a facial sculptor we're selling, right? So we're going after the turkey neck angle. If you have turkey neck, use this product. Or a natural solution instead of doing surgery. That's another angle, right? And so we're basically scaling with ad sets, and we're just turning the ad sets that are either not spending or unprofitable. So if you launch an ad set and the CBO doesn't spend within 5 days, meaning 5 days and it doesn't spend, it's probably not attributing the spend or spending on that ad set because it doesn't see an opportunity. So just turn it off and come up with something new. How do you come up with something new? You can either do a new marketing angle like this one over here, or you can do the same marketing angle that you see that had some interest and potential of doing well, and you just change the creative concept. What is a creative concept? A creative concept is basically, let me just show you very quickly what I mean by that, because it's very valuable. A creative concept is like a before and after, a UGC mashup, right? It's basically different types of videos. And we actually have a list over here of like different creative concepts. And so like POV, before and after, AI scripts, us versus them, educational videos, X reasons why, a boomerang, reviews, unboxing, reaction videos, text overlays, trending TikTok, I think it's like trending TikTok sounds, yeah, statics, advertorials. There's literally, we have a list. This is something that we reserve for our, and of course we also have like inspiration links we reserve for our community. But what was I saying? Yeah, and so basically this is, this is how you can scale. Let me actually show you in the ad account over here. This is like a test ad account. But as you can see over here, this is like 1 campaign, 3 to 2 for scaling. And once again, this is how I would use it. This is how I would warm up the account. So with ABO campaign, just give it some spend, right? And then once you see that something works, you can go into the CBO campaign and start scaling and finding, winning ad sets and angles. And this is how you do it. So I name it the product. And then I name the marketing angle, and then I name the type of creative concept. So in this case, it's a UGC, normal standard video. And then I name it whether it's a video or an image. Let me show you another example here, right? And naming is really important because you want to keep everything organized. Facial sculptor, product, instant facelift before a night out. That's the marketing angle. UGC is the type of video. And then the video is the format of the creative is the video. And of course, these are all videos, but you should also test images, okay? And the way that we do it is that we actually do this with a flexible ad system. So let me show you inside how it works. So we go here, and these are basically the ad sets, the marketing angles, and then you can just basically go here and create an ad and do flexible. And what you can do is you can upload 3, as I told you here before, 3 headlines, 2 ad copies, and 2 headlines, 2 ad copies, and 3 videos or images, right? And so this is how it looks like. You upload 3 videos in my case. you have 2 ad copies, 1 and 2, and then you have 2 headlines. So this is a good way to like mix and match, and then you can test multiple variations. But the goal here is to let Facebook choose what actually works the best and what converts in the best way. So this is the approach that I advise you to use if you want to start scaling, right? And cool. So that is about the ad account structure. Let me just go back over here. I'm losing my voice because I'm speaking a lot, but hopefully you're getting some value. Either way, what do you do next? Omnipresence. This is how you get to the next level. This is how you get to like, you know, low 7 figures, multiple 7 figures, to really start getting to the 8-figure mark. Or maybe you're already doing 8 figures without omnipresence. If you implement the omnipresence and you're already at figures and you're doing 10 million a year, you're probably going to get to 20, or something great is going to happen, because this is literally the best way to scale and leverage the most out of your current ad spend or organic traffic. And so we want to create an environment where as soon as the customer comes in, whether it's from Meta, from Bing, from email, probably not, but like from Snapchat, TikTok, right? All the social media or Google platforms are just organic. Once they're in, we got to make sure that they basically bounce back into the funnel wherever they go. So they try to go out, and then we retarget them on TikTok. They try to go out, and we retarget them on Meta. Same thing with, like, we've actually run campaigns for Bing, just retargeting campaigns, and it worked. I mean, you can be very, very creative. We had a client that was spending like 100K a month on Meta. I have a case study about it if you want to take a look at my channel. And then we decided to attribute an extra 10,000 just on TikTok retargeting. And they were selling a high ticket product, like $300, $400, $500. And just by adding a TikTok, which is typically not user friendly for like, best for like super high ticket products, it still worked. It gave us like a 5 or 7x ROI because it was just really, really warm traffic. And it really, really worked well. So if you want to get to the next level, you have to start implementing, put all of your pixels from the start, by the way. Even if you're doing $0, put all of your pixels, because you never know when you want to turn on retargeting. That pixel is going to be full of data and will actually understand what customers to target. So make sure that you create this environment through retention marketing, email and SMS, through all of the social media platforms, as many as you can. And then, of course, Google. And if you see that just it doesn't work, like you're spending like $10 a day, $50 a day, $100 a day on like Pinterest retargeting, and it just doesn't work, cool, just turn it off or test something else. But try to test as many as possible. You have no idea how you can just make an extra 1 or 2 million just by doing this strategy. Okay, now let's talk about the last point over here. Let's see if I actually spoke about everything here. I did. Okay, now building to sell. This is really, really important. Okay, this is really, really important. You should always start your business, even if you're starting and you're making just low figures, low 6 figures. It's just instead of having just a one product business or one person business where it's yourself, maybe a VA or a couple of VAs, a store, one landing page. That's just not going to make it if you want to scale to 8 figures. You got to build an enterprise. You have to build enterprise value. You have to build as if you were selling, even if you don't want to sell. Because first of all, if you want to sell one day, you can sell it. And second of all, if you actually build to sell, you have just a much better organization that runs more smoothly, and you also attract better talent, because people that are actually A players will only work with organizations where they see that there's structure, there's organization, there's a culture, right? Or else you can't really hire A players, right? And so you need a team, whether it's an agency or an in-house team, I don't care. You need a team to make sure that, and typically our agency structures like creative strategists, video editors, graphic designers, head of performance, so the person on top kind of monitoring everything. We have a UGC production specialist that basically reaches out to all the content creators. We have a media buyer, right? So you either build an in-house team eventually to start growing as soon as you see some traction, so that you can delegate the work and start focusing on finding new products, making your products better, working on packaging, working on retention systems, etc. And then exactly, now product development, you need to focus on this, building an actual community. You need to build a community, because you can't expect, what if like paid ads start like decreasing for 6 months and you just really see bad results for 6 months, which could happen. And what are you going to do in those 6 months? Just bleed out? No, if you have a community, you can actually resell, upsell. You can be so, you can introduce new products to your community, right? So I'm not sure if that was the best example, but making sure that you have a community also allows you to increase your enterprise value when you want to sell to somebody else. If I'm a private equity firm and I come in and I see that you have a community of like 50,000 people, even if it's just 7,000 people compared to 0, it's way better. It's a lot more value. Okay, it's way more valuable. So building a community, you can nowadays you can do it in like Facebook groups. You can do it in school communities. Like if you're selling like a beauty product for moms, like I know that there's a school community that is like 35,000 members, 40,000 members that is just for moms. that have babies, right? So you can build all these communities, and then you can organically and like very naturally upsell products and promote, right? And of course, you need to know how to do that. Accounting, proper financing. You need to do that absolutely, because then you don't know your numbers, you don't know your profit margins, you don't know your gross margins, and everything becomes chaotic. And then you need data tracking, and then revenue distribution, which is basically creating omnipresence and also creating a system where you get a lot of revenue from Meta, you get 30% of revenue from TikTok, you get it from affiliate collaborations, you get it from strategic partnerships, you get it because of retail. This is actually how you start building an actual business, okay? And let me actually show you here how data tracking is important and how we do it. Before I end my rant here, it's been a while. So this is our creative concept sheet. We track everything. We track our UGC collaborations, how many we do. We track the storyboards, okay? We track CRO. This is a demo, of course. So every single test that we do, we literally track its performance. If it worked, if it didn't work, the change in conversion rate, the change in AOV. We have a creative testing tracker sheet where we track, this is each row is essentially one ad set, which is one marketing angle. If you remember before, right? The product name, feminine spirit is the marketing angle. Image GIF is the type of creative. And then we track everything. We track how it worked, what emotion we used, what hook we used, what creatives we used. We literally track everything. Maybe I can do a separate video, but then we also have like graphical representations of how everything looks like, which is super, super useful. So you have to be an analytical nerd. And let me actually show you something else here. We also have like our own internal daily report. This is something I really suggest for you to have. And this is essentially a tracking sheet that gets numbers from Facebook. Plus we have our own custom metrics, but this is color coded. So you can immediately understand how the business is doing just by looking at the color codes and say, okay, this is where we have great CPMs. It's better to scale now, right? This is where the CPMs are higher, so maybe we have to descale, right? Immediately you can have a very good understanding of how your business is doing. How do you do this? You can either connect sheets to like Facebook, there's like some extensions, or you can also just hire a VA to just go in every 2 days to like fill it up. It takes like 30 minutes, 20 minutes. It's just really, really, really fast. And a lot of these automations are, a lot of these columns are automated, so they automatically generate by themselves. Okay, hopefully this video was valuable. I know that I went through a lot, of concepts. You might have a lot of questions. I wanted to do a more holistic type of video where it included more topics. I'm not sure why this is not working, but you got the gif over here. You already saw this. I'm losing my voice here. Hopefully you got some value, but please let me know if you have questions about these specific topics. I went through 7 different topics. I showed you some things. I showed you the ad account. Let me know if you have any questions. I want to see your questions down below. I will go personally, not VA. I'm going to go personally down there and give you some value and make sure I answer all of your questions. Okay? That's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. And ring the bell. I can't even speak anymore. I'm so tired. Ring the bell, subscribe, do all that stuff, and see you in the next one. Bye.